I'd like to thank all my colleagues who've joined us here today, but I'd especially like to thank former Hempfield School District track athlete Lily Williams and Emily Krebs from the Pennsylvania Family Institute, and my Senate colleagues for standing with me here today. I'd also like to thank my co-prime sponsor, Senator Kristen Phillips Hill, for speaking. Last week, my colleagues and I took a stand for women across Pennsylvania, and we passed the Save Women's Sports Act, which would prevent biological men from competing in women's sports when they are sanctioned by a public school or an institute of higher education. The passage of this legislation is simply common sense. According to the American College of Sports Medicine, males on average have larger hearts and lungs, greater stroke volume, higher hemoglobin concentration, more muscle mass, less percentage body fat, and use energy more efficiently than females. All these advantages mean that for athletic events relying on endurance, strength, speed, and power, males usually outperform females by 10 to 30%, depending on the sport. This advantage is clear to anyone willing to honestly look. Take track and field, for example. The current women's world record for the 100-meter dash is 10.49 seconds, set by Florence Griffith Joyner in 1988. In the 2024 NCAA Outdoor Track Finals, all 9 of the male athletes competing in the final heat of the 100-meter dash finished with a time better than Joyner's, and the fastest was only a sophomore. Let that sink in. There is such an advantage for men that every finalist in this year's college championship ran faster than arguably the greatest female sprinter in history in the same event. Since 2020 in Pennsylvania, 37 female athletes have lost first place, and another 13 lost second or third place to men who were competing in their sport. Overall, this has happened over 100 times across track, swimming, fencing, and more in that time frame. The results of men and women's sports are undeniable, and it has to stop. This is why we passed Senate Bill 9 last week in the Senate, and we sent it over to the House. The bill would prevent biological men from competing in women's sports at public schools or institutes of higher education, ending this tragedy of men stealing the opportunities that are rightfully for women. Now that legislation is in the House, and it's their time to stand up for women, and I call on the House to take up this vital legislation without delay. For more than 50 years, Title IX has ensured that biological women have the right to safe and fair athletic competition. And these rights are now being lost every time a biological male steals a podium or a placement from a deserving young woman. Do we wait to enact protections for women until more lose opportunities, awards, or scholarships? Does it have to be your daughter for it to matter? Our girls need us to stand up and ensure that they can compete, learn, and grow in a society that protects their most basic rights. They need us to save women's sports. I'd like to now invite Lily to stand up to the podium and share her story. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Liliana Williams, and I'm just going to share my story with you today. I attended Hempfield High School and was part of both the cross-country and track and field teams for 4 years. For me, it was more than just a sport. It was an outlet, a way to escape from the everyday stresses of life. My teammates became my family. The girls on the team were like sisters to me. Our team was a safe place, both mentally and emotionally. No matter what happened at school or on the track, I knew I had a group of girls cheering me on every step of the way. I truly believe that nothing can destroy the bond that we have with one another, or so I thought. My story starts in the spring of 2021. It was my senior year of high school, and I had the privilege of being both the girls' track and field and cross-country team captain. This was an exciting season. We all had worked hard during the cross-country season, and we were excited to put that same energy into the upcoming track season. Excitement and laughter filled the air as we made the walk from the high school track locker rooms. But smiles quickly vanished when we walked into the locker room to find a boy present. We all knew this boy as he was a runner on the boys' cross-country team that previous fall. This boy continued to make an appearance in our locker room day after day. For a few days, the girls remained silent. I guess maybe we thought that our coaches would have talked to us about it, but we were mistaken. I had heard about transgender athletes in sports, but I'd never imagined it would become a reality in our small town of Lancaster. I also assumed that as a captain, I would have been told about the matter happening prior to the start of the season, but once again, I was wrong. Many of the girls were unsettled by the situation. As captain, I was the one that came to with emotions, confusion, frustration, and for some of them, even anger. This athlete was, of course, bigger, stronger, and faster than the girls he ran with, and the psychological impact was real and deeply felt by all of us. For female athletes, locker rooms are more than just a place to change. It is a place of privacy, security, and intimacy. Having a male present compromises those feelings and crosses personal boundaries that all females have a right to. A previous safe place for a woman is now a place full of distress and anxiety. I cannot speak for all women on this matter, but I know many of the athletes on my team were incredibly uncomfortable with the situation, so uncomfortable that many of us would change in the porta potties outside of the locker rooms. When I spoke to one of my coaches on behalf of my teammates, I was told that nothing could be done and that my coach wasn't even allowed to discuss the issue with me. A few weeks later, there was a meeting with the girls' team in which we were told to deal with the situation because it wasn't going to change. As the spring season progressed, the narrative we were being told was that if this were one of you, you would want to be loved too. Love, as if our frustration and tears had anything to do with the lack of love for this individual. Quite the opposite, actually. This boy was another human being, made in the image of God. It was my goal the entire season to look for opportunities to befriend him and talk to him. My issues with him being on the girls' team had nothing to do with the lack of love towards him, but rather had everything to do with the fact that he was a boy, and despite all the lies he was being told from society and the lies he believed about himself, he still did not belong on the girls' team. This is the problem with the transgender movement, and why it is so important for us to fight back. The lies coming from this movement aren't just hurting the girls who want to have a fair playing field and a safe place to change. These lies are devastatingly harmful to transgenders themselves. It is harmful to tell children they can be something they're not, and the truth about who and what they are is determined by their feelings when it isn't. The truth is that no matter what a boy does to his body, be it surgery or hormone blockers, he will never be the same as a biological girl, and telling him otherwise sets him up for a lifetime of pain, as that truth will conflict with that lie for the rest of his life. I want to take a moment to stand up for the athletes who may never win a race or earn an athletic scholarship. Although the boy on my team didn't take scholarships or championship titles from any girl that season, his presence was demoralizing for all the girls, regardless of their athletic ability. Having a male compete against women not only impacts the top female athletes, but also those who simply aspire to participate in a race or competition. Title IX was written to ensure a fair playing field for female athletes and guarantee safe access to locker rooms, something the girls on my team had to forgo if they did want to undress in front of a boy. Think about your daughters, your granddaughters, your sisters. Imagine dedicating an entire year to earning a place on the relay team, only to have that opportunity taken away without warning, all because a boy was uncertain about his identity and was allowed to take that spot. It's not always about winning medals or earning accolades. On my team, girls who have been committed members for years were suddenly sidelined, unable to compete because their positions were displaced by a male athlete. On February 5th, 2025, President Trump signed an order titled "Keeping Men Out of Women's Sports." Following this, the NCAA introduced new regulations that limit participation in women's sports sports to individuals assigned female at birth. These are the kinds of positive changes we need to see. People like Riley Gaines, Peyton McNabb, and many others have played a key role in making this progress possible. However, the fight is far from over. These issues continue to affect women at the local level, and we must remain vigilant. It's our responsibility to protect future generations by standing up for women's rights to fair competition and privacy in locker rooms. Thank you so much.
I'm Emily Krebs. I'm with Pennsylvania Family Council, and I want to thank Senator Ward and Senator Phillips Hill for taking the leadership on this issue, and thank you to all the senators who voted for Senate Bill 9 for standing up for women's safety and fairness in women's sports. This issue is near and dear to my heart. So swimming on a team, while only a brief time in my life, had a lasting impact on who I am today. I went from being scared to swim 2 lengths of the pool as a 9-year-old to becoming a distance swimmer in college. I made lasting friendships. I traveled. My coaches and teammates encouraged me to push myself physically and mentally, which gave me the confidence to tackle new challenges, even like speaking here today. While I was not an elite swimmer, I know what it means to work hard and sacrifice hours and push your body to its limits to shave just a couple seconds off the clock. Much is said about top athletes losing to female athletes, but countless girls like me risk not even making the team at all because there's not a spot on the roster. Even female athletes who never make it to the medal podium deserve an equal opportunity to compete to achieve that goal. Now, I'm a mother of a young girl, and I want her to have a fair playing field, but unless something changes, unless we enact Senate Bill 9, she won't have that. In February of 2022, I remember watching as Leah Thomas, the male swimmer from Penn, won the women's 500 freestyle at the Ivy League Championships. Thomas won that race by over 7 seconds, and as you watched the women at the other end of the pool, you could hardly see them in the camera's view. That's how far ahead he was. For the women, they were left racing for second in their own category. Males continue to compete in women's sports today in Pennsylvania. So earlier this year, a male athlete competed in the girls' indoor track and field competition. 2 years ago, a male athlete made it to the PIAA championships in both the shot put and the discus in the women's category. In order to make it to that level, he had to displace girls through the regional competition and other levels. How many girls lost out on opportunities? It doesn't take a whole team of male athletes to destroy fairness for girls. In Connecticut, in 2017, 2 male athletes began competing in girls' high school track. In just 3 years, those 2 males broke 17 girls' track meet records, deprived girls of more than 85 opportunities to advance to the next level of competition, and took 15 women's track and field championship titles. Science shows us that males have a biological advantage over women. The PIAA even includes this in their bylaw language and recognizes the scientific truth and the harm to girls that male participation on female teams causes, and as a result requires separation of girls and boys teams. A number of school districts across the state have passed policies separating sports by sex, but those female teams still have to compete against other school districts. This is why Pennsylvania needs the Save Women's Sports Act. I ask the House to take up Senate Bill 9 and pass this common sense legislation that keeps female sports for females only. Imagine what that will mean for all the girls who woke up this morning to work and practice hard in their sports, whether those girls are working just to make the cut, to win a state title, or all the girls in between. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Senator Kristen Phillips Hill, and I'm so grateful that you are all here today. First, I want to thank my dear friend, Senator Judy Ward, for standing up for women. It is let's give her a big round of applause. It is an honor to fight alongside her for fairness in women's sports. And I also want to thank all of the advocates, especially Lily and Emily, for their passion and their courage to take a stand. Today we are celebrating a major step forward in our shared effort to save women's sports. And with the Senate's bipartisan passage of Senate Bill 9, we are fighting for a principle that transcends party lines. And that's every girl deserves a fair shot, that we will protect the promise of Title IX. This bill is not about politics. Let me say that again. This bill is not about politics. It is about the principles of fairness and courage and opportunity and ensuring that young women all across our Commonwealth can still count on them. 52 years ago, Title IX opened doors for generations of women by guaranteeing that they would no longer be sidelined or shut out. But that progress didn't happen overnight. It was won by brave women who laced up their cleats, who dove into pools, and who stepped onto fields and courts demanding their rightful place. And they weren't just fighting for trophies. They were fighting for dignity. They were fighting for respect. And they were fighting for equal opportunities. And that is the same fight that we are continuing here today with Senate Bill 9. We are here to protect the promise of Title IX, to ensure that it still means something for our daughters and our granddaughters. Every woman who co-sponsored Senate Bill 9 was an athlete. Think about that. I was a competitive swimmer. I trained hard. I earned my roster spot. I stood on that podium when my time in the pool was the fastest. I had a fair fight to that wall. And that's what this bill protects. A fair fight, a level playing field, the right to compete on a level playing field where the outcome is determined by ability, not biology. And this is not just about athletics. Sports builds more than muscles. It builds confidence, it builds character, and it builds future leaders. In fact, 96% of female CEOs once played competitive sports. That's not a coincidence. The habits, the confidence, and discipline that have been learned on the field or in the pool are carried into the boardrooms, the businesses, and in our case, into the Senate chamber. When fairness is compromised, we do not just hurt athletes. We undercut leadership, we undercut confidence, and we undercut opportunity for women. You cannot have equal opportunity without equal rules. And when girls are pushed aside, told to stay silent, and compete in unfair conditions, we all lose. Now, none of this momentum would be possible without the bravery of young women like Emily, like Lily, and like so many others who've had the courage to speak out. And they were told to stay quiet. And yet they chose to speak even louder, not just for themselves, but for every girl who feels dismissed, for every girl who's told she is voiceless. They are standing up for what is right. Today, Senate Bill 9 stands with them. Senate Bill 9 is for women all across this Commonwealth. It's for every girl who's been pushed aside. It's for every girl who's been silenced. It's for every girl that's been told that fairness no longer matters. To Lily, to Emily, to every other girl across Pennsylvania, we see you, we hear you, and we are standing with you. Senate Bill 9 ensures that athletic teams that are designated for females in public schools and colleges and universities are just that, for biological females. It brings clarity for schools, fairness for athletes, and peace of mind for families. This legislation does not discriminate. This legislation preserves the very protections that Title IX was meant to guarantee. It allows all students to participate in athletics, but it ensures that female athletics are reserved for female athletes, and female athletes don't have to give up fairness to do so. And that is how we protect the promise of Title IX. That is how we defend its legacy. That is how we uphold fairness, reward hard work, and preserve opportunity. Senate Bill 9 is about keeping a commitment to all of the athletes who came before us, and to the young girls who are just now dreaming of their first game, their first race, or maybe even a college scholarship. I am so proud that the Senate came together as Republicans with several Democrats to say fairness still matters, courage still matters, and opportunity must still be earned, not taken. Now it is the time for the House to act. Let's send this bill to the governor's desk. Let's finish what Title IX started. Let's show every girl in Pennsylvania that fairness still matters, and if you work hard, you're going to get a fair shot. Let's make Senate Bill 9 law and show that this Commonwealth will always stand for fairness in women's sports. Thank you.
Thank you to everyone who joined us today. I hope you felt the passion that we all feel about women's sports. I urge you to contact your representatives, your senators, and let them know how you feel and how important this issue is to young women across our Commonwealth. Thank you very much.